3 months ago, I went on a business trip, 3-day trip. On the first night, I went out for drinks with some of my coworkers. While out, a man named Caleb started flirting with me, and I liked the attention. My husband, James, has always been loving and supportive. He's handsome, in incredible shape, and he constantly compliments me. I don't know why I felt so gratified by this random guy, but I did. After way too many drinks, I went with Caleb to his apartment and we had sex. Immediately afterwards, I realized what I had done and left. I cut my part in the work trip short, saying I felt ill and went home. I immediately confessed to James. I told him everything, offered to answer all his questions. He just said he needed to go for a walk. When he came back, he just asked me if I liked it. I was honest with him. I didn't. It was fumbly, drunk sex with a man that clearly didn't care if I enjoyed it. This guy is nowhere near as good as my husband is. I told him all of this. He just stood there looking at me and told me he needed to go out for a bit to think and left again. He was gone for a couple of hours and finally stumbled back through the front door, really drunk. He could barely speak, kind of drunk. This has now become a common theme since it happened. He's gone from drinking maybe 3 times a month at the most to drinking every night. And not just drinking, but getting blackout drunk and passing out either in our backyard or on the couch. He started smoking cigarettes again. He quit 2 years ago. He's been blowing off our friends when they invite him out to events. He just goes to work, comes home, drinks and smokes, passes out. He hasn't gone to the gym since I told him. He used to go 5 times a week. He barely eats anything. Whenever I try to talk to him, he just responds with short answers or mumbles. We had our first marriage counseling session today, and he barely spoke. The counselor tried to get something out of him, but he just did the same, short answers or mumbles. I've offered everything I can think of to make things right. I've been doing the things he has always done for me. Make coffee for him each morning, tell him he's handsome, offer to do errands for him. He doesn't seem to care anymore. He just seems like a shell of his former self. I'm really scared I've done something irreparable. I haven't seen him smile this entire time. 2 nights ago, he came back from whatever pub he has been drinking at with a bloody nose and a black eye. I was horrified and tried to find out what happened. He just told me to fuck off. He started telling me I might as well go find Caleb so I can be happy. I tried telling him I've always been happy with him, but he threw it back in my face, asking why I cheated then. I don't have an answer. I've spent these months racking my brain, but I can't think of a single reason why I did it. Caleb wasn't better looking, nicer, in better shape, more attentive, anything. That conversation when he came back with the bloody nose and black eye is the longest one we've had since I told him what I did. I don't know what to do. Have I ruined my marriage? I'm asking the men here. Is there something your cheating partner did that made you feel better? I'm lost. I love my husband more than anything, and watching him spiral is killing me. Please, I need advice.
Sometimes people don't betray because they don't love anymore, but because they forget how it feels to be alone in a living love. In every marriage, there are moments of silence that we don't know how to name. It's not boredom, nor is it a rift, but a thin wind seeping between 2 hearts that have gotten used to each other's breathing, causing one to stray. Today, in The Silence Within, we listen to the story of Olivia, a woman who lost herself in a brief moment, and James, a man who once believed that love could save everything. But love is not a cure. It is a mirror that reveals our true selves when we are at our weakest. Hello, Olivia. Thank you for taking the time to come to The Silence Within. Thank you for courageously sharing the first lines of a very real and very painful chapter in your life. This is a very sad story. I felt her pain and Liam's so clearly I didn't need to see it. Before we get started with today's story, please subscribe to the channel to help spread the story to more people in similar situations. And don't hesitate to leave a comment below to share your sincere advice for the guests. I feel deeply for you, Olivia, but the reality is there is very little you can do to help James if he doesn't want your help. The pain he's feeling is the kind that eats through a person's bones. It doesn't leave bruises you can see, but it leaves a silence that can drown a whole house. So he numbs himself with alcohol, with smoke, with the ritual of forgetting. That tells me he doesn't have the coping tools to survive this experience, at least not yet. If he can't develop them soon, he's walking a very dangerous road. The bloody nose, the black eye, those aren't random accidents. They're the first signs of a man who's starting to turn his pain outward because it's too heavy to keep inside. I don't think marriage counseling will help right now. There was nothing wrong with your marriage before this. Counseling is meant to repair what's cracked, not what's been shattered. Right now, it's like trying to rebuild a house that's still on fire. Infidelity is one of the deepest forms of emotional abuse a person can endure. It's not just about betrayal, it's about the sudden collapse of identity. The person who believed they were loved, safe, chosen, and wakes up to realize that none of those words mean what they thought they did. James desperately needs individual counseling, and he needs help cutting alcohol from his life. Maybe through AA, maybe through an intervention with friends or family. But that means you'll have to tell people the truth. You'll have to say out loud why the man they knew became a stranger. That's the hardest part, the exposure of shame. Keep your eyes open, Olivia. Listen for any talk of ending the pain, of ending himself. Alcohol is a depressant. It can drag a person to a place so dark, they start thinking there's only one way out. If you ever hear words like that, you don't wait, you act. You asked what you can do to help him. You fix yourself. Something in you was broken, and something that made the words of a stranger, Caleb, sound louder than the love of your husband. That's not just weakness. That's a wound. Until you find what that wound is, until you understand why validation from someone you didn't care about could make you forget the man you loved, you won't be safe for anyone. Not for James, not for yourself. You need to accept two truths, Olivia. First, the marriage you had is gone. You killed it. You might one day build something new, but it will never be the same house. It might be smaller, quieter, or maybe stronger, but it won't be the one you remember. Second, the man who was your husband is gone too. What you see now, the drinking, the silence, the anger, that's him resisting a transformation he never chose. He's broken, and he'll either rebuild himself or decide he can only heal by walking away from you. And if that happens, you have to let him go. If you are a person of faith, then pray. Pray for his healing, for your redemption, for something larger than the both of you to hold this chaos together. Because right now, you two are standing on the edge of ruin. When people talk about hell on earth, they're describing what James is living through at this moment. And Olivia, I will pray for both of you.
I started to type an answer, but honestly, this covers it all. Everything you said, Marcel, it's what I needed to hear, even if it hurts. I've been trying to fix him, to make him better, when maybe what I really need to do is stop pretending I'm the one who can save him. You're right. His life is in danger. I can see it now. The drinking, the fights, the way he stares at nothing. He's fading. Someone online told me to listen to people like Hanamlu, to start acting now, because he might hurt himself even more if I wait. And I believe that. My sister went through something like this once. Her husband cheated. She tried to end herself after it happened. The only thing that saved her was her friends, the people who knew, who refused to let her disappear. I don't want that to happen to James. I've been so ashamed that I haven't told anyone the truth. I thought keeping it secret would protect him, protect us. But maybe that's what's killing him. Maybe hiding the truth is just another way I'm letting him fall deeper. I don't know what happens next, but I know I need to do something for him and for me.
Have you been in individual therapy, not marriage counseling, but the kind where you sit with someone and start asking yourself why you cheated? Have you read anything, a book, a podcast, about what betrayal does to a partner and how to help them heal. Because what I'm hearing is that you've spent months watching James crumble, and still, you haven't truly faced your own why. You may have ruined your marriage. You may have broken your husband in ways he'll never fully recover from. That's the truth no one wants to say out loud, but you need to hear it. Right now, your job isn't to win him back. It's to help him survive, to get him to a place where he's sober, stable, and able to breathe again. Even if that place no longer includes you, he needs therapy, he may need AA. Only when he's strong enough to realize he doesn't need you to survive will reconciliation even be an option. And if that day comes, it will be his choice, not yours. You have no control over that. Your only focus, your only purpose right now is to get him to safety. If he asks for space, give it. Don't argue. Don't beg. You might even prepare a place to stay, with a friend, not a man. Somewhere you can go if he tells you to leave. That's not defeat, Olivia. That's respect. Understand this. If reconciliation ever happens, it won't be the same marriage. The one you had is gone, burned down. If something new is built, it will take years, 2, 5, maybe more, and he will never have blind trust in you again. He shouldn't. And until then, there are no business trips, no situations that look like the one that broke him. Trust is rebuilt in small, quiet moments. Not promises, not grand gestures. Good luck, Olivia. You're going to need every ounce of patience, humility, and truth you can find.
Thank you for responding, Marcel. I have booked my own counseling sessions. They start in 3 weeks. I've been reading everything I can, articles, stories about what to do, how to help, but I'm struggling to do anything that makes a difference. Whenever I try to reach him, he just shuts down. I make him coffee, but he'll leave it on the counter untouched, or make his own, like he doesn't want anything that came from me. I've tried to talk about the drinking. He'll either walk away or just stare through me like I'm not even there. I told him I'll do whatever it takes, anything. I've even reached a point where I offered to let him have a one-night stand, just to make things even. I know how wrong that sounds, but I'm desperate to give him something that makes the pain stop, even if it hurts me. I'll work for as long as I need to make this right. I don't care if it takes 10 years, he's worth that. I've already told my boss I can't travel anymore. She's the only person, apart from our couples counselor, who knows what happened. I haven't told anyone else. It still feels like a secret I'm living inside of. A secret that keeps both of us trapped.
You've mentioned marriage counseling, but are you also in individual counseling? Because you need that first, even if James refuses to go. The biggest problem I see right now isn't just his pain. It's that you still can't answer your why. Why did you do this? You've said you like the attention, but why did that matter so much when you already had love at home? Until you can answer that question, no one, not even you, can trust that it won't happen again. I've been on the other side of what you're describing. I was that man, the one drowning himself in whatever it took to forget. My wife's betrayal sent me there, but I've also been you, the person who had to confront their own damage to understand what they had done. It took years of soul-searching, therapy, and brutal honesty before I could even begin to identify my reasons. Once you find yours, you'll start to recognize when those same feelings come back, the emptiness, the craving for validation, and you'll know how to stop yourself before they destroy someone else again. Now tell me something, Olivia. What personal changes are you making outside of your efforts with James? Are you changing for him, or are you changing for you? Have you stopped drinking completely, especially when he isn't there? Do you still go out without him? Are you surrounding yourself with people who actually respect your marriage, or the same coworkers who saw nothing wrong with you leaving with a stranger? Have you even been tested for STDs? Did you use protection that night with Caleb? I'm not asking to humiliate you. These are the kinds of questions that force us to stop hiding behind the word mistake and start facing the real consequences of our choices. And listen carefully, Olivia. Give him space. I know that sounds impossible right now. I know you want to hold him until he stops shaking. But every time you push to fix him, you remind him of the one thing he can't fix for not what happened. If he's still showing up for counseling, even in silence, that means he hasn't given up completely. Let him sit there. Let the silence speak. His world has been shattered. He's trying to rebuild his map of reality. Don't try to repair what's been done with love bombing or over apologies. That kind of love can feel like pressure, even insult, to someone who's still bleeding. What you need now is consistency, vulnerability, brutal honesty, transparency. Accept that things can get better, but they'll never be the same. You must establish a new normal. If he's quiet, respect that quiet. He'll speak when he's ready. He needs to hear your why, and he needs to see real visible proof that you're not just sorry, but that you're changing. And Olivia, even if you do everything right, if you stay sober, if you're honest, if you do all the therapy in the world, he might still decide it's not enough. He might choose to leave. That's his right. You need to be ready for that, not as punishment, but as reality. If he does walk away, you still keep going to therapy. Not for him, for you. Because no matter what happens, you have to live with yourself again. As a woman who made a terrible choice but didn't let that be her ending. You're not a bad person, Olivia. You did a bad thing. And now your work is to become someone who understands the weight of that, but refuses to stay broken under it. Be the best version of yourself. Not to win him back, but because that's the only version who deserves forgiveness from anyone. And if you truly mean what you've said, that you'll be there for James no matter how long it takes, then understand this. Healing him may take years, maybe 5, maybe forever. And you may not be beside him when he finally heals. But if you do this right, Olivia, he won't heal because of you. He'll heal despite you. And that will have to be enough. If the drinking is as bad as you've described, you may have to bring in his friends or his family for an intervention. The sooner, the better. Nothing, and I mean nothing, will begin to heal until that's under control. You can talk, you can cry, you can make promises, but none of it will matter until James is sober and thinking clearly. Do whatever it takes to get him there. Whatever it takes. And listen, that idea of a hall pass or of letting him sleep with someone else to make things even, that's not healing. That's self-punishment dressed as compassion. It's not the same thing, and it won't undo what happened. You cheated without permission. He would be doing it with permission. That doesn't make you even... It just adds another layer of pain neither of you can carry. He's never going to believe the man you slept with, Caleb, wasn't better. You can say it 1,000 times. It won't reach him right now because his mind isn't in logic. It's in survival. So stop arguing that point. It will only reopen the wound. There are good resources out there, entire communities that understand both sides of this kind of wreckage. There's one called Support for Waywards. You might find some truth there, some guidance for people who've done what you've done and are still trying to learn how to rebuild themselves. And Olivia, until you both are in a better place, no more drinks. Not with friends, not with coworkers, not alone. That will always be a trigger for him. And every time he smells alcohol on you, you'll set him back to night 1, to the night everything broke. As for the little things, the coffee, the food, if he doesn't take them, let it go. Leave them where he can find them, but don't push them into his hands. Let him decide when he's ready to accept care again. If your house allows it, make yourself another space. A room that's yours. Quiet, separate. Give him distance. Give him air. You can still love someone from across the hall. Sometimes that's the only way love can survive the fire. And one more thing, find a space for you too. Not just a room, but a place where you can begin your own work. Because while his healing will depend on sobriety, yours will depend on truth.
Thank you, Marcel. I don't want to tell anyone what happened unless James is okay with it. He doesn't handle pity well. He's told me before that it annoys him when people look at him that way. He's always been confident, proud of who he is. So I understand. I don't want to take that from him too. Since everything happened, I've been going straight home after work. No more drinks, no more late nights. I just go home. I want him to feel safe again, or at least as safe as he can in this house. There isn't really a separate space where I can stay. He's been sleeping in the spare room, when he actually goes to bed at all. Sometimes I hear him out there, the sound of his lighter, the ice clinking in the glass, and I just stay still, because I don't know if going to him will help or only make it worse. I'm trying to give him space without disappearing. It's harder than I thought it would be.
I understand your instinct not to tell anyone. You're trying to protect what's left of your marriage, to keep it from collapsing under more eyes, more opinions, more shame. But at some point, you'll have to make a decision. Is the risk worth the reward? Because this can't go on. If James is drinking and driving, if he's showing up to work unstable, that's not just his life in danger, it's everyone around him. You may need to reach out to his friends, to his family. Yes, it may blow up the marriage even more, but if it saves his life, then that's what love has to look like right now. Sometimes love is not keeping secrets. Sometimes love is dragging the truth into the light so it can't kill anyone quietly. I'll be honest with you, there is nothing you can do, at least not right now. He has to be willing. And the truth is, you are not the path for his healing. You're a trigger. Every breath you take near him reminds him of the night everything broke. He feels like he invested his whole life into you, his loyalty, his trust, his future, and this is where it led him. Eventually, he will realize that the only way to heal is to detach from that version of himself and from you. That's the beginning of recovery for most people who survive this. It's like a death, and what comes after is the slow process of learning how to live again. When he gets there, he'll decide whether to start over with you or to walk away. But either way, that choice will be his, not yours. Right now, marriage counseling won't help. You're trying to treat the marriage, but the marriage isn't sick. The people are. The relationship doesn't cause the betrayal. People in good marriages cheat. People in broken marriages stay faithful. So instead of fixing us, you need to fix you. Figure out why you allowed yourself to cross a line that destroyed everything built on trust. Find out how to make sure you never stand in that moment again. Not with James, not with anyone. Here's what years of reading, listening, and living through this have taught me. The why behind infidelity is rarely complex. Most of the time, it's frighteningly simple. Because it felt good. Because someone made you feel seen, and you let that feeling matter more than the person who had seen you all along. It's not about insecurity or evil. It's about human weakness colliding with opportunity. A moment of bad judgment that costs a lifetime of peace. That's what makes it so brutal, Olivia. Because when James truly understands that his life, his faith, his marriage, all of it was shattered over a moment that just felt good, he'll have to face the most painful truth of all, that something so small could destroy something so big. But truth, even when it hurts, is still the first step toward peace. You can't undo what happened, but you can build boundaries so you never go near that place again. And you need to understand your responsibility, not just as a partner, but as a protector. A lot of people forget that role, especially spouses who believe that love alone keeps them safe. But protection from the worst in ourselves, that's what love really demands. You did one thing right, Olivia. You confessed immediately. You answered his questions. You didn't hide. That was the first act of courage after a moment of cowardice. Hold on to that. The truth is, most people do recover from betrayal. Not all marriages do, but people do. James will. You might too, but you both have to grieve first. Not just the marriage, but the versions of yourselves that died with it. Time will tell what remains when the grief is over. And one last truth. And I say this not to wound you, but to make sure you see clearly. When you said, "I love my husband more than anything," that wasn't true. At least, not then. You loved yourself more in that moment. That's why you chose your own fleeting pleasure over his emotional safety. That doesn't mean you're incapable of love. It means your love was still immature, still blind. Now you know what it costs to love carelessly. If you can learn from that, then maybe someday your love can become something deeper, something that protects instead of consumes. You can't rewrite the story that already happened, but you can decide what kind of person finishes it. Maybe James will find peace with you. Maybe he won't. But if you do the hard work, if you strip yourself bare and build a self that's honest and awake, then no matter what happens, you'll have earned the right to stand in the light again. Because the truth is, love doesn't save anyone. It only shows us who we really are. In the end, the scariest thing is not being betrayed, but realizing you've lived for years without really understanding why you hurt the person you love. Love doesn't save anyone. It just reveals who you really are. And sometimes the awakening comes not to hold on to the past, but to start again, alone, but honestly. Thank you for your attention and sympathy. Please take a moment for a most sincere advice. Goodbye, and see you again in the talk show, The Silence Within, next time.